I am the man who lives in the shadow of the celebrated actress, Clara. She chose to marry me when her career was at its absolute zenith. Everyone who knew us said I had won the lottery, that I must be the luckiest man on the planet. But then came the night of her latest premiere party. On a live stream, I watched as she took the hand of a young actor, Julian, and with a familiar tenderness, adjusted his collar and softly brushed a stray hair from his forehead. It was a small gesture, but it was ours. Later, when a pyrotechnic stunt went disastrously wrong on one of her sets, her immediate, unthinking reaction was to throw herself in front of the boy standing beside her, shielding him from the blast. She had no idea that I, standing just a few yards away, had been knocked off my feet by the shockwave and was momentarily lost beneath a pile of falling set debris. 5 days after that incident, Clara finally returned to our silent, empty house. It was only then that she noticed the divorce papers I had left for her, neatly signed, sitting on the polished coffee table. Beside them rested the simple, unadorned ring she had given me all those years ago, when our life together was just beginning. "Clara, the fans are shipping you and Julian so hard," a reporter chirped. "They're saying your chemistry on screen is unbelievable. Is there any chance of you two working together again soon?" Clara's new film, Double Take, was an undisputed blockbuster, earning critical acclaim and dominating the box office. At the lavish after-party, she was besieged by reporters asking her to recount humorous moments from the set with Julian. She had grown accustomed to these kinds of empty, speculative questions. She responded with a practiced smile, raising her left hand to show them the plain band on her finger, a clear signal meant to silence the gossip. "My husband is, and always will be, my one and only co-star," she said, her voice smooth and confident. The room erupted in good-natured laughter. "We're all so envious of your husband, Clara. For your relationship to remain this strong after so many years is truly inspiring." The comment section on the live stream was a blur of activity. "Her husband is so lucky. I'm so jealous. Seriously, that guy must have saved the galaxy in a previous life to marry a woman so devoted, rich, beautiful, and talented. Didn't someone say they've known each other for 20 years? They're legitimate childhood sweethearts. I don't care. I still ship her and Julian. They have that perfect mentor-mentee dynamic. They just look so right together." The party was beginning to wind down, and the camera finally panned away. I switched off my phone, stepped out of my car, and walked toward the hotel. Her production team was celebrating in the first-floor VIP lounge. I walked inside, holding a cake box. I wore a studio employee badge, so the security guards at the door paid me no mind. From across the crowded room, I saw Clara and Julian making their way down the VIP corridor, flanked by their assistants and staff. Suddenly, a man who looked wild-eyed and unstable broke through the crowd and lunged toward Julian. Security personnel were on him in an instant, dragging him away. I watched as Clara gently pulled the visibly shaken young actor into her arms, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. She stroked the back of his head, whispering words I couldn't hear, but whose comforting intent was obvious. After he seemed to have regained his composure, she casually straightened his collar before releasing him. The hand holding the bag with the cake began to tremble slightly. I was wearing a surgical mask, so I could follow them without being recognized. After they disappeared into the private room, I found the waiter stationed at the door and sent him on a pointless errand, allowing me to linger and listen to the conversations within. The people inside were all part of Clara's studio, people I knew personally and who certainly knew me. Her agent, Marcus, had once been a close friend of mine. Everyone was raising their glasses to Clara. "Clara, this film is guaranteed to sweep the awards again this year. Have you started thinking about your acceptance speech?" Clara let out a light laugh. "Of course. I'll thank my husband, Evan. I couldn't have achieved any of this without him." She seemed to notice a shift in the mood of the young man sitting next to her. She cast a glance toward Julian and raised her glass in his direction. But my biggest thanks has to go to Julian. In all my years of acting, I've never experienced chemistry like this with a co-star. Someone else chimed in. Clara has never been this invested in a co-star before. Remember that scene at the ranch? When Julian's horse bolted, Clara was so frantic she nearly got herself killed trying to chase after him. Time flies. It's hard to believe filming is already over. Clara, can I ask, how do you manage to decompress and get out of character after finishing a role? Clara looked over at Julian, a shadow passing over her features. Her words were heavy with meaning. If you want to get out, you can get out. If you don't want to, you could stay in it for a lifetime. Even Marcus started to tease her. If Evan heard you say that, he'd lose his mind. Don't get too attached to these on-set romances. So what if he hears? Clara said, leaning back nonchalantly in her chair. He's so well-behaved. He just stays at home, does his own thing, and never asks about my world. How would he ever find out? She added with a lazy drawl. It's fine this way. The house gets lonely otherwise. A profound chill ran through me, a cold that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. It was a deep, internal freeze that started in my feet and crept all the way to my head. Before I had come to the party tonight, Marcus had called to ask if I was attending. I originally told him I wasn't planning on it. He had sounded genuinely disappointed. All right, don't worry. I'll keep an eye on her for you. I'll make sure she doesn't drink too much, and that none of those pretty boys get any ideas. Marcus and I had known each other for a decade. Back then, he was a highly sought-after agent with a reputation for creating stars. I had begged him to sign Clara, but he refused at first. So I sat on his doorstep for 3 full days. I even laid my bank cards and property deeds on the ground in front of him. Clara is going to be a star, I pleaded. Please, just trust me. I waited until he finally, reluctantly, agreed. After he signed her, he didn't give her much attention. So in the beginning, I acted as her unofficial manager, running errands, making connections, and hustling for her. She was talented and incredibly hard-working, and she quickly made a name for herself. Once she did, I promptly faded into the background, handing all responsibilities over to Marcus. For a long time, very few people knew about my relationship with Clara. Even our wedding was an incredibly low-key affair. It's only now that I understand. The people at her studio, they knew she was fooling around. They all knew, and they all kept it from me. I was the only one left in the dark, stupidly buying her performance as the devoted wife. But my God, she was a magnificent actress. After Clara became famous, she was perpetually busy. We were often in different cities, sometimes on different continents. I remember one time I came down with a high fever. I called her, but her assistant answered the phone. She never called me back that night. I couldn't bear the loneliness and neglect anymore, so I told her I wanted to break up. In the middle of the night, after my fever had broken, there was a knock at the door. I staggered over to open it. Her eyes were red and swollen as she kissed my cheeks, my lips, my nose over and over again. She smelled of expensive alcohol and the damp chill of a snowstorm, as if she had come straight from a party and jumped on the first flight she could find. "Don't you ever say that again," she whispered, her breath shaky as she held me so tightly I could barely move. "Don't you dare leave me." The very next day, she proposed. She confessed she'd had the engagement ring for a while, but I always preferred the simple silver band she'd given me not long after we first got together. She had crafted it herself at a small, local workshop while we were on vacation. The waiter returned with his tray and saw me standing by the door, tears streaming down my face. He asked cautiously, "Sir, are you feeling all right?" I just shook my head and wiped my eyes with the back of my hand. I handed him the cake box. "It's yours." I could hear voices from inside again. "Clara, you've had too much to drink. Do you need someone to take you home?" Clara didn't answer for a long moment. I couldn't stop myself from peeking inside one last time. She had stood up, her coat draped over her arm. But Julian, who was beside her, had grabbed her left hand. His eyes were red, and he looked at her with a pleading expression, like a kitten full of desperate longing. She seemed to hesitate. My heart felt as if it were being squeezed by an invisible hand. Finally, Clara leaned down and reached out, stroking his cheek. I closed my eyes. Fat, silent tears fell again. I slowly reached out and quietly closed the door for them. Clara came home at 4 a.m. When she returned, I was lying quietly in bed, digging my fingernails into my palm, trying to stop my body from trembling, trying to calm the storm inside me. The mattress sank beside me, and her cool embrace wrapped around my skin. I shifted slightly. Her voice was apologetic. "Did I wake you?" It was soft, magnetic, and achingly beautiful. Clara used to struggle with her lines. When she first started acting, audiences often complained about her delivery. My profession is voice acting. I spent every day with her, practicing her pronunciation, running lines with her over and over. I worked tirelessly to help her find the emotion and power hidden within her own voice. After that, her line delivery improved dramatically, and she was praised by the industry's most respected critics. Once, one of her original audio performances went viral online and was trending for days. She even won a celebrity voice acting competition show. The day she brought the trophy home happened to be our anniversary. I was in the kitchen cooking for her. Clara has a sensitive stomach. She grew up in a wealthy family who had wanted her to take over their business empire. They considered acting to be a profession beneath her. But Clara had no interest in business. To pursue her dream, she fought with her family and moved out during college, determined to prove herself. During her early years as an extra, she followed film crews everywhere, eating the cheapest takeout meals and staying in the grimiest motels. Sometimes, by the time she got a chance to eat, the food was already cold. Later, when she became famous, I had more time to prepare her meals, which I would have delivered to her set. Sometimes I'd bring it myself, other times I'd have an assistant do it. My cooking spoiled her. She started wanting me to come on set with her, saying she didn't feel right leaving me at home all alone. I used to think she was just being clingy. She would wrap her arms around my waist from behind, pressing against me as if trying to merge our bodies into one. There was a strange, possessive tone in her voice back then. "Don't even think about leaving me, and you're not allowed to get tired of me." I never imagined she would be the one to get tired of me first. "Why are your hands so cold?" I looked at the elegant line of her jaw. Sweet memories flashed before my eyes, like a film reel. I touched the necklace she always wore. The year before she got famous, she found a lump on her neck. Before the biopsy results came back, I drove to a mountain temple overnight. I got on my knees and begged every deity I could think of not to take her from me. "The necklace is a little dirty," I said softly. "I'll take it to be cleaned tomorrow. Then you can wear it again." "Okay," she murmured. She glanced at me, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. She kissed my forehead, closed her eyes, and fell asleep. I carefully unclasped the necklace and clenched it tightly in my palm. "Clara, in the days to come, I will slowly and completely forget you forever. You don't deserve my love or my loyalty. Life is long. No one will be waiting here for you anymore." Just before dawn, I left the house. As I passed a public trash can on the corner, I threw the necklace inside. After having my phone turned off for 48 hours, I switched it back on. A dozen text messages immediately flooded in, all from Clara. "Where did you go? Answer your phone." Seeing that last message, I breathed a sigh of relief. I wasn't planning on having a confrontation with her just yet. She hadn't noticed that anything was fundamentally wrong. The only reason she was so desperate to find me was because she was starting a new film today, and this new film was another collaboration with Julian. I called her. At first, no one answered. After a few rings, someone picked up. The other end was silent for a few seconds. In those few seconds, I knew exactly who it was. "Could you put Clara on, please?" The person on the other end seemed to let out a quiet sigh of relief. I heard the sound of footsteps moving away. Then I heard a clear male voice whisper, "Clara, it's for you." I am extremely sensitive to voices. I knew it was Julian in an instant. When she picked up the phone, Clara's voice sounded a little rushed. "Why did you go to your hometown again without saying anything?" Clara and I have a location-sharing app on our phones, so of course she knew where I had been for the past 2 days. She also knew that whenever we fought, I would play the disappearing act, turning off my phone and heading back to my quiet hometown for a few days of peace. Only this time I wasn't just sulking. I was using these 2 days of silence to get my head straight and plan my next move. When I didn't say anything, she lowered her voice, trying to soothe me. "I know I've been really busy lately. Once I finish this movie, let's go on a long vacation, okay?" I was about to speak, but then I heard a faint sound. It was the sound of 2 different types of fabric rubbing against each other. That kind of soft, rustling sound can only happen when 2 people are in very close proximity. Back when we had more free time, we used to sit on the couch in the sunroom and watch the sunset together. Clara would be reading scripts all day, and I'd get bored. I'd deliberately straddle her lap to tease her, to distract her from her work. It would be snowing outside, and we'd both be wrapped in our own blankets. But her blanket was a different material from mine. I would nibble her chin, and the look in her eyes would change instantly. In the heat of the moment, I would rest my head on her shoulder, listening intently to the rhythm of her breathing. The falling snowflakes, the soft crackle of burning logs in the fireplace, the rustle of fabric. It was as intimate as 2 lovers whispering secrets without using words. Only back then, I didn't understand. I never understood what people meant when they said that in the end, love is all about having a conscience. Today, I finally get it. My heart still ached with a sharp, stabbing pain. I opened my mouth, but I no longer had the strength to say her name. A wave of exhaustion washed over me. "I've gotten my old voice acting team back together. This film needs live audio, so I'll be on set for a while." The other end of the line was silent for a few seconds. Clara's tone suddenly turned cold. "Can't you just stay home? You know how many reporters are always watching me. Being on set is exhausting. Your team is just a few people. Why go looking for trouble?" I said softly, "Are you worried about me suffering? Or do you just want me at home like a piece of furniture?" I must have hit a nerve. After a moment of silence, she said impatiently, "Fine, do whatever you want. Just don't come crying to me when the media hounds you." She didn't hang up right away. She was probably waiting for me to back down, to apologize. Clara is actually a year older than me. Because I have younger siblings, I've always had a habit of taking care of people. It was the same even after I got together with Clara. I don't like conflict. I'm a soft-hearted person. Whenever Clara and I argued, I'd forget about it a few minutes later. But this time was different. I didn't bother wasting any more words. I just hung up. Besides, on top of getting back to work, I had an appointment with a lawyer to discuss the divorce. The call ended abruptly. Clara was stunned and surprised. He had actually hung up on her. Evan never did that. He was gentle and easygoing. Even when they fought, he would come back to talk to her just a few minutes later, looking at her with his big, round eyes and changing the subject. He was sweet and soft. He never held a grudge. He never took the things she said during arguments to heart. He knew she loved him, and he loved her. But today, he had hung up on her. Clara stared at the call screen on her phone. "Clara?" Julian pressed up against her, whispering her name. It was snowing heavily in the mountains today. To make the next day's shoot easier, the main actors were all staying in their own trailers. It was supposed to be their break time, but Julian had shown up at her door with a bottle of warm red wine. She knew what he was after. She just figured it added a little excitement to the otherwise boring shoot. Besides, everyone on set would help her hide it from Evan. It was a common enough thing in this business. It wasn't that she didn't love Evan. On the contrary, she loved him very much. She wanted him to always be there at home. Every time she came home from work and opened the door, He'd be there in his fluffy teddy bear pajamas, his cheeks flushed from the heat of the stove, standing in the warm orange light of the kitchen, making her favorite soup, or cooking the meal she'd been craving for days. Clara had a nagging feeling that something was wrong. When she tried calling back, his phone was off again. Just as she was about to call someone else, Julian's hand closed over hers. Then his other hand slowly caressed her cheek. The truth was, she could tolerate Julian because he looked a bit like Evan, especially his eyes. But today she just wasn't in the mood. On the way to the studio, Ben was driving and chattering excitedly. "You're finally back. The rest of us have been holding on, just waiting for you. We've been waiting for this day." He gestured with his chin towards the back seat. "When the studio dissolved, that girl didn't say a single word. She just kept coming to the office every single day. She paid the rent, she bought all the new equipment. A few years ago she got drunk and said that if you ever wanted to come back, at least you'd have a home to return to." I glanced in the rearview mirror at the girl sleeping in the back, her face almost completely hidden by a hoodie and a mask. My student, Maya, an unofficial one. After I gave a talk at her university once, she found me backstage. She didn't beat around the bush. She said she wanted to be my student, to have me teach her voice acting. At the time, I was a pretty big name in the industry. Everyone else laughed at her boldness, but she didn't care. "I'm smart, I learn fast, I have a great voice, and I can memorize lines like crazy," she had declared. She thought for a moment, then added, "And I have money. I can pay any tuition you want." Back then, everyone thought she was just a rich kid on a whim. Less than 6 months later, she went from a total novice to a rising star in the voice acting world. Tons of film crews and celebrities were specifically requesting her. Thinking about it now makes me sad. To think I gave up a career I loved for a joke of a marriage. I turned my back on my dreams and became trapped by marriage and family. And now, Maya has become a renowned master in the industry, while my professional name, Morris, has all but vanished. The whole way, Maya kept her head down, not saying a word. She was either on her phone or staring out the window. I smiled. "I really appreciate you guys letting me come back. Let me start with some supporting roles. I'm afraid I'll mess it up." But then Maya suddenly laughed. "If you're afraid of messing up, why bother coming back at all?" Maya always had a sharp tongue, but she usually directed it at other people. When Clara got famous, the media and the public dug into every aspect of her life. I never liked being in the spotlight. The media attention was driving me crazy. So I decided to leave the studio. When I made that decision, Maya, who had always been the most obedient and respectful to me, just stood up and walked out. As she reached the door, she threw one last line at me. "Evan, you're getting married, not dying. Does your work conflict with your marriage?" I had no answer for her then, but going through this marriage really did feel like I'd died once already. The person I loved most in the world, the friend I trusted completely. They both delivered a devastating blow. A gut-wrenching pain I'll never forget. After we arrived, while I was unpacking in the recording studio, Ben saw the divorce agreement template fall out of my suitcase. He froze. "Morris, are you and Clara getting a divorce?" I calmly picked up the papers. "Yeah, please don't tell anyone for now." Ben was clearly in shock. He was a huge fan of Clara. He used to ship us so hard when we were dating, gushing about our love story all the time. He even said he'd never seen a movie star who adored her husband as much as she did. He'd even done a tarot card reading for us once and said we'd grow old together. Ben looked heartbroken. "Morris, did I let you down?" He was talking about the tarot card reading. I shook my head and patted his back gently. "You can't predict people's hearts. It has nothing to do with you. When it comes to time, who can say for sure?" Just as we finished unpacking, we got news from the props department next door. Clara's new movie was also filming here. What a small world. Luckily, I'd kept a low profile back then, so not many media outlets had pictures of my face. With a hat and a mask on, no one recognized me. On the first day of filming, there was already a mishap. A last-minute change in the male lead. The original actor had gotten into an accident on his way here, and was in the hospital. The new actor was some hotshot industry nepo baby Tristan, and the studio assigned me to do his voiceover. Tristan glanced at my work ID and immediately started complaining. He turned to the director. "Who is this guy? You're giving me some no-name for my voiceover? What's that supposed to mean? You have to change him. I want Kai to do my voice." He was talking about Kai, the voice actor for several recent hit dramas. The director was young and didn't dare to offend Tristan. He could only manage a nervous smile. "Tristan, Kai's voice is more neutral. He usually voices gritty action hero types. It really doesn't fit your style." Tristan wasn't having it. "I don't care. It just can't be this guy." He looked at the voice cast list again. "If not him, then switch me with Ben." Ben was his stage name. He'd recently voiced a few teen romance dramas and was a pretty popular voice actor. We glanced over at Liam, the second male lead. He took off his headphones and said flatly, "I don't care either way." On my way back to the recording booth with the script, I ran into Liam at the door. He saw me, took off his headphones, and handed me a coffee and a small gift. "Morris, it's a pleasure to be working with you." I was a bit surprised. He smiled. "I've seen pretty much every show you've ever voiced. When I heard you were assigned to me, I almost cheered out loud." I thanked him for the gift. "But it's been so long since I've done this, and your character is a villain. I don't have much experience with those roles. I'm worried I won't do a good job." Liam gave me a handsome grin. "I believe in you, man. Your voice, it has soul. Even if it's been a while, I'm sure that soul is still there." After he left, I, who hadn't shed a single tear since the day I decided on the divorce, suddenly burst into tears. Someone walked past me and handed me a tissue. Then they stood quietly to the side, not saying a word to disturb me. It was Maya. That evening, we had a team dinner at a local mountain resort restaurant. And we ran into someone we knew, Clara. Her film crew was huge. Clara had booked the entire resort restaurant for the night to treat everyone. The door to their private room was open. Although Julian and she seemed to be deliberately keeping their distance in front of others, everyone there worked in the entertainment industry. Sometimes, a single glance is all it takes to know. Those two were definitely up to something. Maya suddenly threw down her chopsticks and snapped at me. "How can you be so tolerant? Is this just how everyone in showbiz acts? That guy is practically glued to Clara's side, and you're not going to do anything?" I tugged on her sleeve, signaling for her to lower her voice and calm down. "She doesn't know I'm here, and I don't want her to." And when everyone saw Clara head to the restroom and Julian follow her 2 minutes later, it was all perfectly clear. I was outside on the phone and didn't see it. Maya shot up from her chair with a loud scrape. She looked like she was about to go confront Clara, but Ben grabbed her sleeve. With a troubled look on his face, he quietly begged her not to go. He hesitated, but finally couldn't hold it in any longer. "Evan and Clara are getting a divorce." But just as quickly, Maya's expression changed again. She saw me heading toward the restrooms too. She shook off Ben's hand and followed me. And at that moment, I was just trying to find the bathroom, but now I was completely stuck. At the end of the hallway, in a hidden corner, I saw Clara and Julian, drunk, tangled up, kissing. A wave of nausea hit me. The heating in this place wasn't great, and I'd had a bit to drink earlier to warm up. Now it all felt like poison in my stomach. I leaned against the wall and let out a dry heave. I almost threw up. Then I heard Clara's drunken voice. "Who's there?" She whispered to Julian, "Wait a bit before you come out." I panicked. This wasn't part of the plan. Today was not the day for a confrontation. Just as I heard Clara's footsteps approaching, in my confusion, someone came up from behind me. They gently pushed me against the wall, pressed my head into their chest, and shielded me with their body. Clara's voice was getting closer. She knew Maya. When she first found out I'd taken on a student, she was jealous for a long time. She said Maya was too handsome, that she didn't trust her. I told her, "Don't you know what kind of person I am?" She said it wasn't me she didn't trust. It was Maya. Clara had always held a strange hostility towards her. When she saw Maya, her voice rose slightly. "You?" Maya's voice was casual. "Sorry about this." I don't know if it was my imagination, but her right arm deliberately tightened its grip. I could barely breathe. Maya said, "My boyfriend can't hold his liquor." I had a feeling she was doing it on purpose. After Clara left, I lowered my voice. "Thanks." Maya spoke, her chest vibrating slightly. "Why didn't you tell me about the divorce?" So Ben had told her. I said, "It's not final yet." Maya's hand still wouldn't let go. "But it will be soon, won't it?" There was a hint of pleasure in her voice. "She deserves it. Clara doesn't deserve you." Sensing my silence, Maya said in a low voice, "Go back to the hotel first." I looked up and saw her glance toward where Julian was hiding. There was no other way out from there. If we didn't leave, Julian would probably be stuck there all night. I asked her, "You're not coming back?" Her fingers pressed gently on my shoulder, signaling for me to go. I saw a mischievous glint in her eyes. An hour after I got back to the hotel, I heard the door to the next room open. After a moment, I couldn't resist going over and knocking. The door opened a minute later. Maya was holding up her arms, drying her wet hair with a towel. She was only wearing a sports bra. She had a great figure, but in this below-freezing weather, wasn't she cold? My face flushed, and I averted my eyes. "You should put a jacket on before you catch a cold." She grunted in agreement and grabbed a thick coat to wrap around herself. I hesitated. "You want to ask what I did to Julian?" She had already figured it out. I nodded. Maya tilted her head back and took a long drink of water, her bright dark eyes glancing at me. "I didn't do anything. I just gave a waiter $100 to sit there and play games on his phone for an hour, with the volume all the way up." That's brutal. So Julian was stuck in a freezing hallway, wearing a thin suit, with no phone to contact anyone, shivering in the cold for an entire hour. Standing like that, he was bound to get sick. Maya saw I was silent. "What, are you going to lecture me? Tell me I went too far?" I looked down. After a long moment, I laughed. "That was awesome, so awesome!" The feeling of seeing an immoral person get a taste of their own medicine. It felt so good. Too bad it wasn't Clara. I couldn't stop myself from smiling. "Thank you." Maya looked at me, as if she had something to say, but in the end she didn't say it. It just came out as a simple, "Good night." For the next few weeks, besides voice acting, I sometimes helped out on set with other things. I was actually quite interested in filmmaking. I wanted to learn more. Maybe one day I'd get the chance to direct a movie. I remember telling Clara about wanting to learn filmmaking once. She just kissed me and told me not to worry my head about such things. "I like you better at home. Staring at those cold machines is boring. Don't work yourself so hard." Now that my feelings have changed, everything she ever said, good or bad, just makes me sick. Sometimes our two crews would share a location. I saw Clara quite a lot, but I had completely lost interest in her. I didn't pay attention to what she was doing anymore. Ben had completely lost his admiration for her, too. Sometimes he'd say, "Hi, Clara," to her face, and then mutter, "Cheater," under his breath as he walked away. I dressed down, blending in with the crew. Clara never noticed me, but these last few days, I've heard that Clara hasn't been in a good mood. She's lost her temper on set several times. While helping Ben move some props, I overheard some crew members from the other set complaining. What's gotten into Clara these past few days? She's been so irritable. My friend who's a makeup artist said she's been fighting with her husband. Said she saw her calling him over and over, but he never picked up. He's not replying to her texts either. She's that much trouble. If my wife was a beautiful young movie star, even if we fought, I'd just look at that face and my anger would disappear. What if she was cheating on you? The group fell silent for a moment. Isn't that just how it is in this industry? It's not a big deal. And she's a famous actress. He's got fame and fortune. Maybe his biggest claim to fame in life will be his actress wife. He should just suck it up. A lifetime passes quickly. That's horrifying. To think some people actually think that way. I'm so glad I chose to get a divorce. I refuse to spend my life as her accessory. My life's greatest work will never be her. Ben frowned and whispered to me comfortingly. Morris, don't listen to their nonsense. That cheater isn't your greatest work. You have so many great works you can't even count them. Several of the characters you voiced became huge hits because of your performance. Yeah. I looked at the young man in front of me and suddenly felt a surge of courage and motivation. My smile was one of genuine relief. Thank you. From now on, no one will ever put me down again. This show had a short production schedule, designed to be streamed online as it was being filmed. As soon as the first episode aired, it blew up online. The second male lead's acting and his voice actor were trending. The comments were all about the perfect match between the actor Liam and his voice. Liam's villain performance is insane. And that voice actor's voice, did you guys recognize it? It's incredible. And so familiar. I checked the credits. It's Morris. His voice has changed a little, but it's really him. Oh my God. The king of historical drama voiceovers. Is he making a comeback? Liam's face, his acting, paired with Morris's voice. This show is going to be a massive hit this year. Yes, it's Morris. The whole year of terrible historical dramas is finally saved. How did the director pull this off? He got all my favorite voice actors, and Maya is doing the female lead. Morris, do you know how many years I've waited for you? I listen to your old audio dramas every single day to eat, to sleep. I've missed you so much. Tristan did not look happy. He was that famous. The director knew how to twist the knife. Tristan, my boy, you threw away a viral hit all on your own. Don't blame me. The show's ratings kept climbing, but a week later, Ben ran into a problem. The temperature in the mountains was too low. He caught a cold, and his throat became so inflamed he had to go to the hospital for IV treatment. This show had a short production schedule. If we waited for Ben to fully recover, we'd fall completely behind. But the first few episodes with his voice had already aired. None of the replacement voice actors we found sounded quite right. Their voices were all slightly different from Ben's. The director was at his wit's end, squatting on the floor, pulling at his hair in frustration. Let me try, I said, looking at Tristan. Tristan looked uncomfortable. Why would you help me after I'm not helping you, I said, as I gathered my things and headed for the recording booth. I'm helping Ben and our studio. This show is popular, and I need a good platform for my comeback. I'm also helping myself. The next day, after the final cut with the new audio was ready, we gathered in the screening room. Everyone was stunned. The voice I did for Tristan sounded almost identical to Ben's. Even Ben, on a video call from the hospital with a raspy voice, was shouting, "Morris, you're a genius!" As I was smiling, I saw Maya leaning against the doorway. She seemed to be smiling too, her eyes shining as she looked at me. The show was a hit, and Clara started to realize something was wrong. A week later, I was running lines with Maya in the booth. Ben burst in, frantic. "Morris, Clara's here. She's looking for you." Maya glanced at my expression. "Do you want to see her?" I shook my head. "Until the divorce is official, I have zero desire to speak to her. I don't want to have anything to do with her ever again." Maya smiled. "All right." Maya walked straight over and opened the door to the recording studio. I held my breath. "Where is he?" Clara got straight to the point. "He did the voiceover for your show. He has to be with you." Maya's tone was mocking. "Your own husband is missing, and you're looking for him here? My husband has legs. Am I supposed to tie him up?" Clara's voice was thick with anger. The tension in the air was palpable. I was afraid they were going to start fighting and was about to step in. But Maya said calmly, "He has been with us for a while, but unfortunately he had to go home for an emergency this morning." When she said us, Maya put extra emphasis on the word. It seemed like she was deliberately trying to provoke Clara. "He went home?" Clara was about to call her assistant to book a flight. "Clara, I've been looking all over for you." Julian had found her. It's the last explosion scene today. Everyone's waiting for us." 2 minutes later, Clara glanced into the recording booth. From her limited view, she couldn't see anyone inside. She decided to finish the scene and then fly to my hometown to find me that night. After Clara left, I suddenly wanted to watch her act one last time. I wanted to understand. How did we end up here? "I'll go with you," Maya said, grabbing a jacket. I refused. "I'll be right back." She nodded, put my hat on my head, wrapped my scarf snugly around my neck, and even gave me a frost-proof mask. "It's snowing outside." I smiled at her. I slipped onto Clara's film set. I stood with the other crew members, watching her act up close. Everyone was praising her. It's true. She really is perfect. But when it comes to love, she's the most broken, twisted person I know. All I ever wanted, from the very beginning, was just a faithful, unwavering love. And the reason we ended up here today wasn't because I wasn't good enough. I am good enough. She's the one who doesn't deserve it. After thinking through our relationship, my mind suddenly felt much lighter. Just as I was about to leave, a deafening explosion ripped through the cliffside. An explosion of that magnitude wasn't normal. Something had gone wrong. I covered my ears and looked up. In the distance, Clara frowned and instinctively pulled Julian into a tight embrace. I felt nothing. But then, the unexpected happened. As rocks and debris began to tumble down the mountain, my mind went blank. A young girl from the props team was still crouched down, packing things away. She was too close to me. So close that I reached out and pulled her out of the way. There was a major accident on set. Filming was suspended. 3 people were buried under the debris, and an emergency rescue was underway. As Clara got into her car, she couldn't help but glance over. For some reason, she felt a sharp, twisting pain in her chest. A dull, throbbing ache. Julian got into the car with her, but suddenly she was sick of it. More than ever before, she desperately wanted to go home and hold her warm, gentle husband, to kiss his cheeks, and smell the faint scent of tea in his hair. "Julian," she said suddenly, "get out." Maybe it was how quickly her mood changed. Julian was caught off guard. "Clara." Just moments ago, during the explosion, she had held him so tightly. Clara lowered her head and rubbed her temples. "I admit I'm a terrible person, but no one is more important than my husband." Tears welled up in Julian's eyes. "But you like me, don't you?" Clara laughed, a self-deprecating sound. "I don't like you." She looked at him, and her smile turned cruel. "It's just that your eyes are a lot like my husband's. My husband isn't very clingy, and I spend too much time on set. I'll admit it was just loneliness. Don't get the wrong idea." A chill went through Julian's body. You bitch." Stella said, "Yes, I am a bitch. And even if I am a bitch, I will never give up my husband." Julian laughed too, a desolate smile. "And what about your husband? What if he finds out what kind of person you are? Do you think he'll still stay by your side?" But Clara was completely unfazed by his threat. She rubbed the wedding ring on her middle finger. She looked at Julian. "If we both go down, do you really think you'll survive in this industry?" Julian trembled. His lips turned white. Clara was right. He had been naive. A place like the entertainment industry was rotten to the core. At least he hadn't lost out completely. He'd slept with an A-list actress, gotten resources. So what if she didn't love him? A person like him deserved an ending like this. The security camera at her front door would show if Evan had come back. He hadn't been back at all. Clara flew straight to my hometown that night, but there was still no sign of him. The feeling of unease in Clara's heart grew stronger and stronger. She spent 5 days searching all the places Evan used to love to go. Still nothing. She dragged her exhausted body home. There were some scattered papers by the front door. She couldn't be bothered to look at them. She just tossed them on the coffee table. Even though she knew the house was empty, she couldn't stop herself from checking every room. For the first time, Clara felt that this house was too empty, too big. When she bought the villa, Evan complained it was too big. She didn't think anything of it. But now, without him here, it really was so big, so cold and empty. Clara lay on the couch. The house was so cold. She hugged her shoulders and slowly curled into a ball. She knew. This fight was different. He seemed really angry this time. So angry that he hadn't tried to contact her for so long. But he'd come back, right? All his clothes were still here. He'd come back. And when he did, she would hold him, kiss him, and carefully coax him. She would never fool around again. She suddenly realized how badly she had treated him. She owed him so much. But she was willing to spend the rest of her life making it up to him. As long as he came home. She would never let him go again. Clara accidentally bumped the remote, and the news on the TV was reporting on the accident. She watched with a blank expression, until she saw the scarf in the footage, the black and white scarf she had knitted for him. But because fans online said it was ugly, he took it and wore it himself. It even had 2 little bears sewn onto it. But why was it in that pile of rubble? Clara's head was buzzing. She shot up and walked closer to the TV, as if she wanted to crawl inside the screen. She kept rewinding and rewinding, until she was sure that was his scarf. She called the person in charge of the cleanup. Her hands were shaking. She could barely hold the phone. The person on the other end was frantic. Yes, it's a huge mess. 3 people were buried. The one we just pulled out is gone. We're still trying to confirm the identity. Clara's voice was hoarse. Whose is the black and white scarf? The person replied, The scarf? It belonged to the one who didn't make it. Clara didn't hear what he said after that. It was as if the world around her suddenly went dark, as if all the life had been drained from it. Everything was gray. But she didn't believe it. She kept calling his number over and over, even though the only response was the same cold, mechanical voice. The papers on the table suddenly slid to the floor. She scrambled to pick them up. The moment she opened them, she froze. It was a signed divorce agreement, and the engagement ring he cherished most. There was also some evidence of her affairs. She collapsed onto the floor. Her shoulders slumped. So, he knew all along. So all these days, he had been preparing to leave her. He had really made up his mind. He didn't want her anymore, but now it was too late. She clutched her chest. The pain was so intense she almost passed out. Her face was wet. She trembled, sobbing quietly, until finally she broke down, wailing. What was she going to do? Clara even had a self-destructive, crazed thought. If he was really gone, she would go with him. She had never realized just how important Evan was to her. But when she heard that terrible news, Clara felt that the rest of her life would be meaningless without him. If she went with him, maybe she'd find him sooner. Just then, the sound of the front door unlocking echoed through the house. She stared blankly towards the door. Light streamed in. She saw Evan. Her heart almost stopped. She had never been so disheveled. She practically crawled over to him. It didn't matter if he was real or a ghost, as long as he was willing to come home, as long as she could see him. Her voice was almost a sob. I saw your scarf. I thought something happened to you. Just as she was about to touch Evan, he held up a hand to stop her. His face had some scrapes. His leg was bandaged, and his eyes were red. But he was alive. Clara. Evan seemed to have just been crying. His voice was still thick and nasal. That was a crew member. I used the scarf to stop her bleeding, but it wasn't enough to save her. He turned his face away, as if he couldn't bear to talk about the tragedy. After a moment, he continued, Please sign the divorce papers. I just came back today to get my things. She stared at his face, desperately trying to take his hand. Ben stepped out from the side, blocking her. I'm here to help too. Morris, hurry up. There's a lot of media outside. I don't want to make a scene, Evan said calmly. I just want to divorce you right now. Clara whispered, I won't sign. You should read a law book instead of those trashy romance novels, Maya, standing beside Evan, laughed. I dare you to touch him today? Don't you want to save your reputation? Clara was still looking only at Evan's face, searching for any other emotion. Evan shook his head. It doesn't matter to me, because you don't matter anymore. When Clara heard those words, it felt like a giant hole had been ripped open in her chest. She had seen a scene in a movie once. It was about a pair of estranged lovers in an old martial arts world. They had hated each other for over a decade, each wanting the other dead. But one day, the man just stopped hating her. In the end, the woman chose to take her own life because she knew that the last thread connecting them was gone. As she signed the papers, she asked one last desperate question. Why don't you hate me? Evan looked at her. He even smiled. That smile was worse than death. He really, truly didn't care anymore. Because my life will be filled with friends, work, and other things. It just won't have you in it. Clara, Evan said, his expression serious. From this day forward, we have nothing to do with each other. Clara, the road ahead is long. I just don't love you anymore. 2 months later, the news of Clara's divorce blew up online again. Along with it was the trending topic, #Clara's affairs. At the same time, all her movie deals and endorsements were suspended or terminated. Clara's social media accounts were hemorrhaging followers. Ben was thrilled. It only takes one day to go from a stan to an anti. She deserves it. But Morris, didn't you say you didn't hate her? And she gave you most of the assets. Why did you still turn the tables on her? I pursed my lips. I was just saying that. I hate her guts. But it's just a hatred for what she did. Clara needs to be punished. When you do something wrong, you have to pay the price. The laptop in front of me was suddenly snapped shut. Maya had a sour look on her face. Is she really that interesting to look at? Maya said. I'm better looking than her. Just look at me. My brain couldn't process it. Ben covered his mouth, snickering. Morris is clueless when it comes to this stuff. Maya, you'd better just be direct. Maya thought for a moment, seeming to agree with him. She leaned in, her expression serious. I like you. The intensity in her eyes was an emotion I could no longer ignore. So she liked me? But my face turned as red as a lobster. I grabbed my bag, covered my face, and fled the office. That was way too direct. I just got divorced. My phone vibrated. It was a text from Maya. Sorry if I scared you. I know you're not ready for another relationship yet, but that's okay. I can wait as long as it takes. I'll wait for the day you find the courage to love again. I breathed a sigh of relief. I looked up. In the distance, the tall, slender girl was standing just outside the office building, completely open and honest. She crossed her arms and gave me the most sincere, radiant smile. And I believe it too, that one day I will get back my ability and my courage to love.